welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Or, I might show up at your door. I'm just here to share some creepy stories, so sit back and enjoy. Disclaimer: the content presented in the video is purely for entertainment purposes only. The theories and stories discussed in this video are speculative and are not supported by any evidence or proof. Viewer discretion is advised. Metropolitan Communications Hub Daily Operations Report. Date: March 15, 2025. Shift: 0600 to 1800 hours. Reporting engineer: Dorian Pike, Senior Network Operations. Distribution: Regional Command, Emergency Services Coordination, Infrastructure Management. Network Performance Summary: all primary communication systems operating within normal parameters. Metropolitan fiber backbone maintaining 99.97% uptime across all nodes. Current traffic load at 67% of peak capacity. Standard for midweek operations. No service interruptions reported in the past 24-hour cycle. Redundancy systems tested at 0400 hours per standard protocol. Primary backup generators cycled through full diagnostic sequence. All emergency power systems nominal. Fuel reserves at 94% capacity, well above minimum operational requirements of 75%. Signal amplification arrays across the metropolitan grid showing consistent performance metrics. Microwave relay towers reporting standard atmospheric interference levels. Cellular tower network integration proceeding according to scheduled maintenance windows. No equipment replacement requirements identified during morning inspection cycle. Personnel status: day shift staffing at full complement. Zara Ellen reporting for resource management duties at 0600 hours. Inventory verification of critical supplies completed. Backup power cells at 98% stock level. Fiber optic replacement cables at 89% stock level. Emergency communication equipment at 95% stock level. All quantities exceed minimum operational requirements. Mira Talon assigned to technical systems maintenance beginning 0800 hours. Scheduled fiber optic inspection of Sector 7 relay stations. Equipment diagnostic protocols for signal processing arrays in Sectors 12 through 15. Replacement of aging amplification modules in North Tower Complex scheduled for completion by 1400 hours. Standard operating procedures maintained throughout facility. Security protocols active. Access control systems functioning normally. Environmental controls maintaining optimal equipment temperature ranges in all server rooms and relay stations. Equipment status report. Primary network switches. All operational. No error flags detected. Fiber optic backbone. 847 active connections. 0 degraded links. Microwave relay system. 23 towers active, signal strength nominal. Emergency communication arrays. Standby mode. Ready for activation. Power distribution. Main grid plus dual backup systems operational. Signal processing equipment underwent routine calibration at 0530 hours. New interference detection algorithms installed per Regional Command Directive dated March 10th. Software package version 3.4.7 deployed across all monitoring stations. Initial performance indicators suggest improved sensitivity to unusual signal patterns. Backup communication protocols verified operational. Military-grade encryption modules tested and confirmed functional. Emergency broadcast capability tested using low-power transmission mode. All systems responded within acceptable parameters. Resource allocation. Current shift personnel deployed according to standard operational matrix. Primary focus on routine maintenance activities and system monitoring. No emergency response protocols currently active. Resource allocation optimized for standard operational tempo. Zara Ellen coordinating with Regional Supply Command for next week's equipment delivery schedule. Backup generator fuel resupply confirmed for March 18th. Replacement fiber optic cables and signal amplifiers scheduled for delivery March 20th. Emergency ration supplies for facility personnel verified at 120% of minimum requirements. Work order queue contains standard maintenance items. Calibration schedules for relay equipment, preventive maintenance on cooling systems, and scheduled replacement of aging signal processors in outer ring towers. No critical repairs pending. All equipment operating within manufacturer specifications. Environmental monitoring. Atmospheric conditions favorable for signal propagation. Humidity levels within optimal range for equipment operation. Temperature control systems maintaining target ranges in all critical areas. Weather forecast indicates clear conditions for next 72 hours, favorable for any required outdoor maintenance activities. Regional electromagnetic interference levels recorded at baseline normal. No unusual signal sources detected by monitoring equipment. Background noise levels consistent with typical metropolitan environment. Solar activity minimal according to space weather reports. Air filtration systems operating normally. Backup environmental controls tested and confirmed operational. Emergency cooling systems ready for activation if required. All environmental monitoring equipment calibrated and functional. Communication traffic analysis. Standard commercial and emergency service traffic patterns observed. Peak usage periods corresponding to normal business hours and evening residential use. Emergency services maintaining normal communication volumes. No unusual activity detected. Interagency coordination channels clear and functional. Regional Emergency Services Network reporting normal traffic loads. Military communication protocols on standby as required by operational security directives. No priority traffic requiring special handling reported. Civilian cellular network integration showing typical usage patterns. Data transmission rates within expected parameters. Voice communication quality meeting service level agreements. No customer service complaints regarding signal quality or availability filed in past 24 hours. Security status. Facility security protocols active and verified. Access control systems logging all personnel movement according to established procedures. Perimeter monitoring equipment functional. No security incidents reported during previous shift. Communication security measures implemented per regional command requirements. Encryption protocols active on all sensitive channels. Signal monitoring equipment operational and recording standard traffic patterns. No unauthorized transmission attempts detected. Physical security of remote relay stations verified through scheduled inspection protocols. Field teams reporting normal conditions at all monitored locations. Equipment tampering detection systems active and responsive. No anomalous activity reported from automated security monitoring systems. Technical maintenance completed. Morning diagnostic sequence completed on all primary systems. Signal strength measurements recorded for all relay points. Equipment temperature monitoring confirmed within normal ranges. Power consumption levels recorded and analyzed, all within expected parameters. Mira Talon completed scheduled maintenance on North Tower amplification array. Signal processing modules replaced according to manufacturer recommendations. System performance verified through comprehensive testing protocol. New equipment integrated successfully with existing network infrastructure. Fiber optic cable inspection of metropolitan backbone completed. Visual inspection protocols followed for all accessible cable runs. Signal quality testing performed at standard measurement points. No degradation detected in transmission quality or signal strength. Operational recommendations. Continue standard maintenance schedule for all equipment. Monitor weather conditions for potential impact on signal propagation. Maintain current staffing levels and resource allocation. No immediate action items requiring management attention. Schedule routine replacement of aging equipment per manufacturer recommendations. Coordinate with Regional Supply Command for upcoming equipment deliveries. Maintain current inventory levels of critical spare parts and emergency supplies. The new interference detection algorithms appear to be functioning as designed. Recommend continued monitoring of system performance with new software package. Initial data suggests improved capability for detecting unusual signal patterns or potential interference sources. Next, shift preparation. All systems configured for standard operational handover to evening shift personnel. Equipment status reports prepared and available for review. No special instructions or emergency protocols required for continuation of operations. Resource allocation and staffing levels appropriate for evening operational tempo. Emergency response capabilities maintained at full readiness. All critical systems operational and ready for continued service. Standard operational procedures to continue through evening shift cycle. Next, comprehensive system diagnostic scheduled for 0400 hours following day. Routine maintenance activities scheduled according to established protocols. End of report. Dorian Pike, Senior Network Operations Engineer, Metropolitan Communications Hub, Day Shift Operations. Report filed March 15, 2025, 1800 hours. Metropolitan Communications Hub Priority Operations Report. Date March 16, 2025. Shift 0600 to 1800 hours. Reporting Engineer Dorian Pike, Senior Network Operations. Classification: Priority Alert, Unusual Signal Degradation. Distribution: Regional Command, Emergency Services Coordination, Technical Analysis Division. Critical Alert Summary: Significant signal degradation detected across multiple frequency bands beginning 0347 hours. Initial assessment suggests systematic interference rather than equipment malfunction. Signal strength reductions ranging from 15% to 40% across affected sectors. Pattern analysis indicates non-random suppression targeting specific communication protocols. All primary systems remain operational but operating at reduced efficiency. Automatic compensation algorithms activated across signal amplification networks. Power consumption increased by 23% as equipment attempts to overcome interference through signal boosting. New interference detection algorithms installed March 15 triggered multiple alerts throughout early morning hours. Software correctly identified anomalous signal patterns that would have gone undetected using previous monitoring systems. Recommend immediate technical analysis of collected data. Signal Analysis Report. Frequency band analysis reveals selective targeting of communication frequencies. VHF emergency services bands showing 31% signal degradation. UHF cellular frequencies reduced by 28%. Microwave relay frequencies experiencing 19% efficiency loss. Pattern suggests interference source has detailed knowledge of metropolitan communication infrastructure. Signal propagation testing conducted at 0800 hours across all relay points. Normal atmospheric conditions rule out weather-related interference. Solar activity minimal according to space weather monitoring. Electromagnetic interference sources traced to multiple locations surrounding metropolitan area. Miratalone deployed field testing equipment to relay stations in sectors 12, 15, and 18. Direct measurement of signal strength at transmission points confirms degradation occurring during signal propagation, not at source equipment. Interference appears to be absorbing or redirecting transmitted signals during transit. Equipment performance analysis. Signal amplification arrays automatically increased output power by average of 18% to compensate for degradation. Power distribution systems responding to increased electrical demand. No equipment failures detected despite increased operational stress. Primary network switches showing increased error correction activity. Data packet loss rates elevated but within acceptable parameters due to automatic retransmission protocols. System redundancy maintaining service levels despite reduced signal efficiency. Emergency communication equipment tested under current interference conditions. Military-grade systems showing improved resistance to signal degradation compared to civilian infrastructure. Encrypted channels maintaining higher signal integrity than standard communication protocols. Resource Impact Assessment. Zara Ellen reporting significant increase in power consumption across all facility systems. Backup generator fuel consumption rate increased by 22% due to amplification equipment working at elevated output levels. Current fuel reserves adequate for 8.3 days of continuous operation at current consumption rates. Battery backup systems for critical equipment experiencing accelerated discharge cycles due to increased power demands. Emergency power cell inventory requires priority resupply to maintain operational readiness. Cooling system power requirements increased due to elevated equipment operating temperatures. Spare parts inventory for signal amplification equipment may require adjustment based on increased operational stress. Equipment lifetime projections reduced under current operating conditions. Maintenance schedule acceleration recommended for critical transmission equipment. Field team reports. Mira Talon's field inspection of North Tower Relay Station revealed physical evidence of signal interference. Metallic debris discovered near base of transmission tower, composition unknown. Debris appears to be fragments of sophisticated electronic equipment not matching any known commercial or military specifications. Field measurements confirm signal strength normal at transmission point but degraded at 500-meter intervals from tower location. Interference effect increases with distance from transmission source. Pattern suggests external signal absorption or redirection rather than equipment malfunction. Similar metallic debris reported at Sector 15 relay station during routine maintenance. Field team collected samples for technical analysis. Material appears to be composite metal with embedded electronic components. No match found in equipment database for manufacturer identification. Technical analysis findings. Interference pattern analysis reveals systematic targeting of specific communication protocols. Digital data transmission more severely affected than analog voice communication. Encrypted signals showing better resistance to interference than unencrypted transmissions. Signal timing analysis indicates interference responds to transmission attempts within microseconds. Response time suggests automated system rather than manual signal jamming. Interference adapts to different frequencies when communication equipment switches to backup channels. New detection algorithms providing detailed data on interference characteristics. Signal signature analysis indicates multiple interference sources operating in coordinated pattern. Geographic distribution suggests systematic placement around metropolitan communication infrastructure. Regional coordination. Communication with regional command experiencing intermittent degradation. Primary communication links maintaining functionality but requiring increased transmission power. Backup communication protocols activated as precautionary measure. Emergency services network reporting similar interference patterns affecting fire, police, and medical communication systems. Regional hospitals experiencing communication difficulties with emergency dispatch systems. Transportation Authority reporting degraded signal quality for traffic management systems. Military communication facilities in region confirming detection of similar interference patterns. Classification level prevents detailed information sharing, but confirms widespread nature of signal degradation phenomena. Operational adjustments. Signal amplification equipment reconfigured to operate at increased output levels while maintaining safe operational parameters. Cooling systems adjusted to accommodate elevated equipment temperatures. Power distribution monitoring increased to prevent system overload. Communication protocols modified to emphasize encrypted channels and military-grade systems showing better interference resistance. Standard operating procedures updated to account for reduced signal reliability in affected frequency bands. Maintenance schedule adjusted to increase monitoring frequency for equipment operating under elevated stress conditions. Field inspection teams deployed to all remote relay stations to assess for similar debris contamination discovered at North Tower and Sector 15 locations. Security considerations. Physical security increased around critical relay stations following discovery of unknown debris near transmission equipment. Field teams instructed to report any evidence of equipment tampering or unauthorized access to relay sites. Communication security protocols enhanced due to apparent targeting of specific signal types. Sensitive communications directed to most secure channels showing highest resistance to interference patterns. Perimeter monitoring systems at main facility increased to maximum sensitivity. Any unauthorized approach to critical communication infrastructure to be reported immediately to regional command and local security forces. Immediate action items. Technical analysis of metallic debris samples collected from relay stations scheduled for priority completion. Results required for operational planning and threat assessment. External laboratory analysis requested due to unknown material composition. Field survey of all remote relay stations to identify additional locations showing evidence of interference or contamination. Survey teams equipped with portable signal testing equipment and debris collection capabilities. Coordination with regional command to assess interference impact on other metropolitan areas. Regional communication network status assessment required to determine scope of signal degradation phenomenon. Equipment status update. Primary systems. Operational at reduced efficiency. Signal amplification. Operating at elevated output levels. Power systems. Increased consumption. Adequate reserves. Emergency communication. Functional. Reduced range. Field testing equipment. Deployed to remote stations. Backup systems remain fully operational and ready for activation if primary system degradation continues. Emergency protocols prepared for implementation if signal interference increases beyond current compensation capabilities. Resource requirements. Immediate resupply priority for backup generator fuel due to increased consumption rates. Emergency power cell inventory requires expedited delivery to maintain operational readiness under current power demands. Additional field testing equipment requested to expand survey capabilities for relay station assessment. Portable signal analysis equipment needed for comprehensive interference pattern mapping. Technical analysis laboratory services required for unknown debris composition identification. External expertise may be necessary due to sophisticated nature of discovered materials. Priority follow-up required. Technical analysis of debris samples. Comprehensive field survey of relay stations. Regional coordination for interference assessment. Enhanced security protocols implementation. Next report scheduled March 17, 2025, 0600 hours. Dorian Pike, Senior Network Operations Engineer. Metropolitan Communications Hub Priority Alert Status. Network Operations Report, Day 3. Filed by Dorian Pike, Senior Network Engineer. Priority, Critical Infrastructure Security. Field Assessment Results, 0600 hours. Mira Talon's overnight inspection of the Eastern Relay Network confirms what the signal analysis suggested. This isn't equipment degradation. The damage patterns at relay stations 7, 12, and 15 show precise cuts to fiber optic cables and targeted destruction of amplification equipment. Someone or something understands our network topology. The metallic debris Mira collected from Site 12 doesn't match any standard communication equipment. Irregular shapes, but the metal composition suggests sophisticated manufacturing. She's documented 17 pieces, each roughly the size of a smartphone but with surface textures that look almost organic. No obvious circuitry, but they conduct electricity at levels that would interfere with signal transmission. Resource Deployment Authorization. Zara Ellen has requisitioned emergency supplies for extended field operations. 12 portable generators, 72-hour fuel capacity each. Emergency repair kits for all major relay stations. Hardened communication equipment for field teams. Security fencing and motion sensors for critical nodes. Total operational cost, $47,000 from Emergency Infrastructure Fund. Authorization granted given the systematic nature of the threats. Tactical pattern analysis. Field teams report consistent timing in the infrastructure attacks. Sites are hit between 0200 and 0400 hours, always during minimal staffing periods. The attackers demonstrate knowledge of our maintenance schedules and security rotations. This level of operational intelligence suggests either insider knowledge or extensive surveillance of our facilities. More concerning, the attacks follow logical network hierarchy. Primary nodes were hit first, forcing traffic through secondary relays, which were then targeted. Now, tertiary backup systems are failing in sequence. This isn't vandalism or random sabotage. Something is systematically dismantling our communication capacity according to network engineering principles. Field Team reports. Team Alpha, Stations 1 to 8, Site 7 shows evidence of coordinated activity. Multiple access points breached simultaneously. Security cameras destroyed before damage to primary equipment. Estimated 15 to 20 minutes for complete destruction of operational capacity. Team Beta, Stations 9 to 16, Station 12 debris field extends 200 meters from primary equipment housing. Damage suggests explosive force, but no blast residue detected. Metallic fragments embedded in surrounding trees at heights suggesting aerial distribution. Team Gamma, Stations 17 to 24, Station 19 shows attempted breach. Security systems triggered, but attackers withdrew before completing destruction. Motion sensors recorded movement patterns inconsistent with human locomotion. Forwarding video files for analysis. Infrastructure vulnerability assessment. Current network capacity reduced to 34% of normal operations. Critical vulnerabilities identified. Primary fiber trunk between metropolitan zones vulnerable to single-point failure. Backup power systems at remote sites inadequate for extended operations. Security coverage insufficient for simultaneous multi-site attacks. Myra's technical assessment indicates that if the pattern continues, we'll lose metropolitan coverage within 72 hours. The attackers are targeting load-bearing nodes that force traffic concentration, making subsequent targets more valuable and vulnerable. Emergency response protocols. Implementing Modified Security Protocol 7. Continuous monitoring of all primary infrastructure nodes. Rapid response teams positioned at 15-minute intervals throughout network. Emergency backup systems activated for critical communication paths. Hardened equipment deployment to essential government and emergency services. Zara is coordinating with municipal emergency management for additional security resources. Standard contract security is inadequate for the threat level we're facing. We need personnel with tactical training and equipment capable of responding to coordinated attacks. Resource conservation measures. Power consumption has increased 340% due to signal amplification requirements to overcome interference. Emergency generator fuel supplies will last 96 hours at current consumption rates. Zara is implementing load balancing protocols to extend operational capacity. Non-essential systems powered down during peak hours. Emergency battery reserves activated for critical nodes only. Fuel delivery contracts expedited for extended operations. Technical countermeasures. Installing frequency hopping protocols on all emergency communication systems. If the interference is adaptive, changing transmission parameters every 30 seconds should maintain operational windows. Mira is modifying equipment to randomize signal timing and routing to prevent pattern recognition by hostile forces. Coordination requirements. Establishing liaison protocols with Metropolitan Emergency Management Agency, Regional Power Authority, Grid Stability Concerns, Federal Communications Commission, regulatory compliance during emergency operations, local law enforcement, security for critical infrastructure, threat intelligence summary. Evidence suggests organized opposition with advanced knowledge of communication network architecture, capability for coordinated multi-site operations, technology for signal interference and equipment destruction, intelligence gathering on operational procedures and security measures. The metallic debris indicates manufacturing capability beyond standard commercial or military equipment. Composition analysis shows alloys not present in current technology databases. Whatever we're dealing with has resources and capabilities that require immediate escalation to federal authorities. Night Operations Protocol. Field teams report movement near damaged sites during darkness hours. Motion detection equipment shows organized patterns suggesting surveillance or coordination activities. implementing enhanced security measures, thermal imaging deployment at all critical sites, paired field teams with tactical communication protocols, emergency evacuation procedures for isolated personnel, hardened shelters at remote relay stations, 24-hour operational status, network stability declining despite countermeasures. Signal degradation accelerating as amplification systems strain against increasing interference. The pattern suggests adaptive responses to our defensive measures. Whatever is causing this interference is learning from our countermeasures and adjusting tactics accordingly. Mira reports equipment modifications are only providing temporary operational windows. Each countermeasure is effective for 8 to 12 hours before interference adapts and overcomes the modification. We're in a technological arms race with an opponent that appears to have superior adaptive capabilities. Resource allocation priorities, fuel and power systems for critical infrastructure, security equipment and personnel for facility protection, technical equipment for signal amplification and countermeasures, emergency supplies for extended field operations, communication equipment for backup systems, immediate action items, deploy additional security teams to vulnerable relay stations, implement randomized maintenance schedules to prevent operational intelligence gathering, establish hardened command post for continued operations under siege conditions, coordinate with federal agencies for technical assistance and threat assessment. The systematic nature of these attacks indicates this situation will escalate beyond current response capabilities, recommending activation of federal emergency protocols and military liaison for infrastructure protection. End report. Classification: Critical Infrastructure Security. Distribution: Emergency Management Authority, Federal Communications Commission, Regional Security Coordination Center. Emergency Operations Center Status Report. Filed by Dorian Pike, Senior Network Engineer. Emergency Classification: Metropolitan Communication Failure. Federal Emergency System Activation: 0800 hours. Metropolitan Emergency Broadcasting System activated at 0745 hours following complete failure of civilian communication networks. Signal degradation reached critical thresholds across all commercial frequencies. Emergency Authorization Code 7 Alpha implemented, transferring all essential communications to military-grade backup infrastructure. Keaton Vale reporting for duty as Emergency Tactical Coordinator. Former Army Signal Corps, specialized in battlefield communication systems and electronic warfare countermeasures. His security clearance allows access to classified emergency communication protocols unavailable to civilian operations. Military backup system deployment. Hardened communication array brought online from underground facility beneath the Metropolitan Center. System specifications: frequency agile transmission capability across 200 MHz spectrum, encrypted digital packet routing with quantum key distribution, EMP hardened equipment rated for nuclear warfare conditions, independent power grid connection with 30-day fuel capacity, initial system performance nominal. Clean signal transmission to federal coordination centers and emergency response agencies. Signal strength stable at 98% efficiency across all tested frequencies. Resource reallocation protocol. Zara Ellen coordinating emergency resource deployment under federal emergency management guidelines. Civilian equipment requisitioned for critical infrastructure support. Emergency fuel reserves activated for extended operations. Technical personnel reassigned to military communication protocols. Security clearance expedited for essential civilian contractors. Total operational budget increased to $340,000 under emergency spending authorization. Federal reimbursement guaranteed for all emergency infrastructure expenditures. Interagency coordination procedures. Keaton establishing communication links with NORAD Cheyenne Mountain Operations Center, Federal Emergency Management Agency Regional Headquarters, National Security Agency Electronic Surveillance Division, Department of Defense Cyber Command. Emergency communication protocols require hourly status reports to federal coordination centers. All tactical decisions subject to federal oversight during declared emergency conditions. Backup system performance analysis. Initial 4-hour operational period shows stable performance across all emergency frequencies. Signal clarity at 96% efficiency, well above minimum operational standards. Federal emergency system design appears immune to interference affecting civilian networks. However, Mira Talon reports unusual power consumption patterns. Military backup systems drawing 23% more power than design specifications indicate. Equipment monitoring shows amplification systems working harder than expected to maintain signal strength. Technical anomaly detection, 0930 hours. First indication of interference on military frequencies. Signal degradation minimal but detectable on spectrum analysis equipment. Pattern matches civilian network interference signature. 1015 hours. Automatic frequency hopping protocols activated as system detects hostile signal environment. Equipment beginning adaptive countermeasures without operator intervention. 1100 hours. Power consumption increased to 31% above normal as amplification systems compensate for signal attenuation. Whatever caused the civilian network failures is now affecting military-grade equipment designed to operate in electronic warfare environments. Tactical assessment update. Keaton's analysis of the situation. Threat demonstrates capability to adapt to military countermeasures. Electronic warfare signature unlike any known hostile technology. Interference patterns suggest real-time adaptive response to defensive measures. Timeline indicates systematic escalation targeting communication infrastructure hierarchy. Recommendation: activate DEFCON 4 protocols for critical infrastructure protection. Field team status. All civilian field teams recalled to secure facilities following escalation to federal emergency status. Keaton deploying military-trained technical specialists with enhanced security protocols. 2-person teams with tactical communication equipment. Armed security escort for all field operations. Helicopter transport for rapid response to critical failures. Hardened mobile command posts for extended field operations. Emergency supply management. Zara implementing federal emergency supply protocols. 72-hour minimum food and water supplies for all operational personnel, medical supplies and trauma equipment for combat conditions, ammunition and defensive equipment for security teams, emergency shelter capability for 50 personnel in underground facilities, communication security measures, all transmissions encrypted with military-grade algorithms. Quantum key distribution ensures communication security against conventional electronic surveillance. However, the adaptive nature of the interference suggests technology beyond current defensive assumptions. Keaton implementing additional security protocols. Random transmission timing to prevent pattern recognition. Decoy signal generation to mask operational communications. Physical security sweeps of all transmission facilities. Counter-surveillance measures for personnel protection. Federal coordination status. Hourly reports to federal emergency coordination centers maintaining operational liaison. Other metropolitan areas reporting similar communication infrastructure failures. Pattern suggests coordinated national-level attack on communication systems. Federal response includes military communication specialists deployed to affected areas, electronic warfare analysis teams investigating interference sources, emergency broadcast system maintaining public safety communications, coordination with international allies for threat assessment, equipment performance degradation, 1,200 hours. Military backup systems showing continued performance decline despite countermeasures. Signal strength down to 89% efficiency and continuing to degrade. 1,245 hours. Frequency hopping protocol cycling every 15 seconds as system attempts to maintain operational windows. Power consumption now 45% above design specifications. The interference is learning and adapting to military countermeasures faster than automated defensive systems can respond. Whatever technology is causing this interference has capabilities exceeding current military electronic warfare assumptions. Tactical communication protocols. Keaton establishing emergency communication procedures for degraded signal environment. Burst transmission protocols for critical information. Coded message formats to maximize information density. Backup communication methods including courier systems. Emergency rally points for personnel coordination if communications fail. Resource conservation measures. Power consumption requires immediate conservation protocols. Non-essential equipment powered down during peak operations. Transmission power reduced to minimum operational levels. Emergency generator rotation to prevent equipment overload. Fuel consumption monitoring for extended operations planning. 12-hour assessment summary. Federal emergency communication systems experiencing degradation similar to civilian networks. Adaptive interference suggests technology capable of real-time countermeasure development. Military-grade equipment providing operational capability but declining performance indicates threat escalation. Keaton's tactical assessment. Hostile forces demonstrate electronic warfare capabilities exceeding current defensive assumptions. Recommend escalation to military response authorization. Night operations security. Enhanced security protocols for overnight operations. Armed security teams at all critical facilities. Motion detection and thermal imaging systems. Rapid response protocols for facility breaches. Emergency evacuation procedures for personnel safety. Previous pattern of 0200 to 0400 hours attacks suggests coordinated hostile operations during minimal staffing periods. Military security procedures implemented to counter organized assault capabilities. Emergency personnel status. All essential personnel assigned quarters in hardened underground facilities. Surface operations limited to critical maintenance and security patrols. Emergency medical facilities activated for potential combat casualty treatment. Personnel rotation schedules established for sustained operations under siege conditions. Psychological support services activated for extended high-stress operations. Immediate threat assessment. Evidence indicates technology capable of adapting to military electronic countermeasures. Coordinated attacks on communication infrastructure across multiple metropolitan areas. Intelligence gathering capability for operational security breach. Escalating threat progression from civilian to military system compromise. 24-hour operational projection. Current degradation rate suggests military backup systems will reach critical failure thresholds within 48 to 72 hours. Emergency protocols require preparation for complete communication infrastructure collapse. Keaton coordinating with federal authorities for military response authorization. Situation exceeds civilian emergency management capabilities. Classification: Federal Emergency Restricted Distribution. Next report: 6-hour intervals. Distribution: FEMA Regional Command, DoD Cyber Command, NSA Electronic Warfare Division. Network Operations Report, Day 5. Classification: Emergency Operational. Reporting Engineer Dorian Pike. Time: 0347 hours. Primary backup systems are compromised. Military-grade encryption protocols that took 3 years to implement are being cracked in real time. Whatever intelligence we're dealing with processes our countermeasures faster than our equipment can deploy them. The pattern is consistent across all frequency bands. We implement adaptive frequency hopping. They adapt to the hopping sequence within minutes. We switch to burst transmission protocols. They're jamming the exact microsecond intervals we're using. This isn't random interference anymore. This is active signal warfare. Zara reports power consumption at 347% of normal capacity. Every amplifier in the facility is running maximum output trying to punch through the interference. At this rate, our emergency generators will be depleted in 18 hours. The main power grid connection failed at 0230. Transformer explosion visible from the communications hub. No repair crews responding to dispatch requests. Equipment status critical. Myra's diagnostic shows cascade failures in the automatic gain control systems. The interference is so severe that our equipment is burning out trying to compensate. We've lost 6 high-power amplifiers in the past 4 hours. Spare parts inventory down to 12%, making tactical decision to abandon automated systems effective immediately. Manual operation only. If the interference adapts to our automated responses, we eliminate the automation. Old-school radio procedures from here forward. Time, 0415 hours. Manual switchover complete. Keaton coordinating with remaining field teams using handheld transceivers. Range limited to 8 kilometers maximum, but signals are getting through. The interference seems focused on high-power, automated transmissions. Low-power manual operations are experiencing reduced jamming. This tells us something critical about the threat. Whatever is causing this has sophisticated signal processing capabilities but limited capacity. Can't jam everything simultaneously. Priority targeting suggests tactical intelligence. They're going after our backbone infrastructure first, then working down to tactical communications. Resource allocation revised. Zara implementing emergency conservation protocols. All non-essential power consumption terminated. Climate control systems offline. Emergency lighting only. All available power directed to communications equipment and emergency repeaters. Field team status. 7 teams deployed for reporting intermittent contact. Team Delta went silent at 0330 near the Riverside Relay Station. Team Charlie reports organized movement around their position but maintains radio discipline. No visual confirmation of threat entities. Time 0456 hours. Pattern analysis revealing coordination that shouldn't be possible. The jamming isn't random, it's surgical. They're identifying our most critical communication nodes and targeting them in sequence. The logical progression suggests they understand our network topology better than some of our own technicians. Mira analyzing captured signal data from the interference patterns. Preliminary assessment shows structured, repeating sequences that resemble communication protocols. They're not just jamming us, they're talking to each other using our own infrastructure frequencies. This changes everything. We're not dealing with random equipment failure or even simple signal blocking. This is network infiltration and systematic communication warfare. The enemy understands our systems well enough to use them against us. Inventory update from Zara. Fuel reserves at 63%. Battery backups for critical systems showing 41% charge. Emergency rations sufficient for current personnel for 11 days. Water reserves adequate. Ammunition for facility defense. 47 rounds per defensive position. Time 0534 hours. Contact lost with municipal emergency services. Police, fire, medical, all dispatch centers reporting system failures. We're operating as the last functional communication hub in a 40-kilometer radius. Responsibility for emergency coordination now falls to this facility. Keaton reports unusual activity around the perimeter. Movement detected on motion sensors but no visual contact. Thermal imaging shows heat signatures that don't match human profiles. Pattern suggests reconnaissance rather than immediate assault. They're studying our defensive positions. The interference is learning. Each countermeasure we deploy is effective for shorter periods. First frequency change worked for 2 hours. Second change lasted 43 minutes. Current configuration has been effective for 18 minutes and signal strength is already degrading. Manual operators report anomalous responses to transmission attempts. When they send standard emergency codes, they're receiving structured responses that don't match any known protocol. The responses are immediate and targeted, not random noise. Something is actively communicating back to us. Time, 0607 hours. Critical decision point reached. Our current operational capacity is unsustainable. Equipment failure rate exceeds replacement capability. Power consumption exceeds generation capacity. Personnel fatigue reaching dangerous levels. Tactical assessment. We cannot maintain full operational status. Must prioritize core functions and establish sustainable operational baseline. Recommendation. Implement emergency protocols for long-term siege conditions. Zara confirms resource calculations. If we reduce power consumption to emergency levels and limit communications to essential traffic only, we can maintain operations for approximately 72 hours. This assumes no equipment losses and no increase in interference effectiveness. The interference patterns are showing predictive capability. They're jamming frequencies before we switch to them. This suggests real-time analysis of our operations and prediction of our tactical responses. Standard communication security protocols are ineffective against this level of signal intelligence. Time: 0641 hours. Point of no return reached. Standard operating procedures are no longer viable. Switching to survival protocols effective immediately. All personnel report to emergency stations. All equipment not essential for basic communication operations will be powered down. Emergency rations distributed. The threat has demonstrated real-time signal analysis and countermeasure deployment, sophisticated understanding of communication network topology, coordinated tactical intelligence gathering, predictive response capabilities, systematic infrastructure targeting. Our response must adapt to these capabilities. No more automated systems, no more predictable procedures, manual operations with irregular patterns. Minimal power signatures, maximum operational security. Keaton establishing defensive perimeter protocols. Motion sensors remain active, but all external communications equipment repositioned to minimize signature. Emergency supplies moved to secured storage.
All personnel briefé en combat procédure.
The interference has evolved from disruption to active signal warfare. We're no longer maintaining a communication network. We're defending a strategic resource under siege. Mission parameters have fundamentally changed. Time: 0723 hours. Final equipment status before transition to survival mode. 12 high-frequency transceivers operational. Emergency repeaters at 40% capacity. Backup power system stable at current consumption levels. Critical spare parts secured in protected storage. Manual operators report the structured responses to our transmissions are becoming more complex. Pattern recognition suggests the responses are adapting to our communication protocols in real time. They're learning our language. This is no longer a technical problem requiring engineering solutions. This is a tactical situation requiring survival protocols. The network is compromised. The infrastructure is contested. The mission is now operational security and resource preservation, transitioning to emergency operational procedures. All subsequent reports will follow military communication protocols. Standard network engineering procedures suspended indefinitely. End report.
Astérisque astérisque personnel status. Astérisque astérisque.
Dorian Pike. Operational, transitioning to tactical communications coordinator. Zara Ellen. Operational, managing emergency resource allocation. Mira Talone. Operational, maintaining critical equipment only. Keaton Vale. Operational, coordinating facility defense protocols. Resource status asterisk. Power. 63% fuel reserves. Emergency levels sustainable for 72 hours. Equipment. 12 transceivers operational, critical spares secured. Supplies. 11 days emergency rations. Adequate water. Limited ammunition. Operational capacity. Reduced to essential communications only. Threat assessment asterisk. Adaptive signal warfare capabilities confirmed. Systematic infrastructure targeting in progress. Coordinated reconnaissance of defensive positions. Real-time learning of communication protocols. Predictive countermeasure deployment demonstrated. Emergency operations log day 6. Classification. Tactical operational. Tactical communications coordinator Dorian Pike. Time 0520 hours. Survival protocols implemented successfully. Power consumption reduced to 38% of normal operational levels. Emergency generators stable. Fuel reserves projected to last 96 hours at current consumption rate. Critical systems maintaining functionality. Mesh network deployment initiated using handheld transceivers and emergency repeaters. Range limitations accepted in exchange for reduced interference susceptibility. Network topology redesigned for redundancy rather than efficiency. If they're targeting our backbone infrastructure, we eliminate single points of failure. Zara reports inventory status. Emergency rations distributed to all personnel. Water reserves adequate for 14 days. Medical supplies inventory complete, sufficient for minor injuries and basic health maintenance. Ammunition count verified. 47 rounds per defensive position. Additional supplies secured in armory. Equipment modifications completed by Mira. All automatic gain control systems disabled. Manual power adjustment only. Frequency selection randomized using mechanical dice rather than algorithmic patterns. If the interference adapts to our procedures, we eliminate predictable procedures. Time 0603 hours. Handheld transceiver network operational. Coverage radius limited to 12 kilometers but signals maintaining clarity. The interference patterns show reduced effectiveness against low-power, manually operated equipment. Tactical advantage confirmed. They're optimized for high-power automated systems. Field team communication restored with Teams Alpha, Charlie, and Echo. Team Delta remains silent. Last known position Riverside Relay Station. Team Bravo reports equipment casualties but personnel intact. Teams Fox and Golf implementing radio silence protocols pending situation assessment. Keaton coordinating defensive positions using new communication protocols. Motion Sensor Network reports intermittent contacts around facility perimeter. Heat signatures detected at 0347, 0421, and 0538 hours. Patterns suggest systematic reconnaissance rather than random movement. Emergency repeater stations repositioned to hardened locations. Previous positions too exposed to directed energy interference. New locations provide reduced coverage but improved survivability. Network resilience prioritized over network capacity. Time 0645 hours. Personnel assigned to emergency stations with tactical communication responsibilities. 12-hour shifts implemented to maintain continuous operations while preserving personnel effectiveness. Sleep rotation scheduled to ensure minimum operational capacity during all hours. Resource allocation protocols established. Zara managing critical supply distribution using manual tracking systems. Electronic inventory systems compromised by interference patterns. Paper-based logs implemented for all supply tracking. Old procedures proving more resilient than automated systems. The interference is showing adaptation limitations. Manual, irregular communication procedures are experiencing reduced jamming effectiveness. Random frequency selection using physical dice is preventing prediction of our operational patterns. Human unpredictability is providing tactical advantage. Time 0727 hours. New personnel introduction. Ivy Maddox reporting for field reconnaissance duties. Background: former military intelligence specialist, current emergency services coordinator. Expertise in tactical intelligence gathering and field surveillance operations. Assignment: perimeter reconnaissance and threat assessment. Ivy's initial assessment confirms organized movement patterns around facility perimeter. Multiple heat signatures moving in coordinated formations. Estimated entities: 12 to 15, maintaining consistent distances and overlapping coverage patterns. Professional reconnaissance behavior. Equipment status update from Mira. 12 transceivers operational. Maintenance schedule established for optimal reliability. Emergency repeaters functioning at reduced power levels but maintaining connectivity. Spare parts inventory sufficient for current operational tempo. Field teams report unusual observations. Team Charlie observes metallic debris near damaged communication towers. Debris shows structured patterns, not random destruction damage. Team Echo reports electronic equipment failures in specific geographic areas, zones of influence around damaged infrastructure. Time: 0814 hours. Mesh network performance analysis complete. Network latency acceptable for tactical communications. Redundancy levels sufficient to maintain operations with up to 40% node failures. Manual routing procedures established for network maintenance under combat conditions. Power management optimization implemented. Non-essential electrical systems completely offline. Emergency lighting reduced to minimum safety requirements. All available power allocated to communications equipment and defensive systems. Thermal signature of facility reduced significantly. Zara confirms supply rationing effectiveness. Food consumption reduced to tactical rations maintaining nutritional requirements. Water usage limited to essential needs. Medical supplies reserved for emergency treatment only. Resource sustainability extended to 21 days under current protocols. Time: 0856 hours. Tactical communication procedures established with external survivor groups. Contact verified with Industrial Complex Delta, Manufacturing Facility, Institutional Facility 7, Hospital Emergency Services, Rural Station 12, Agricultural Coordination Center. Network of survivor facilities maintaining coordination. Information exchange protocols implemented. Daily status reports at predetermined times using frequency rotation schedule. Emergency procedures for immediate contact established. Resource sharing agreements negotiated for mutual support operations. The interference shows geographic limitations. Facilities separated by more than 50 kilometers report reduced jamming effectiveness. Local concentration suggests limited operational range for primary interference sources. Strategic implications. Threat is geographically focused rather than globally distributed. Time: 0931 hours. Perimeter reconnaissance completed by Ivy. Threat assessment. Multiple entities maintaining surveillance positions around facility. Movement patterns indicate intelligence gathering rather than immediate assault preparation. Defensive positions remain uncompromised but under observation. Equipment signatures detected by reconnaissance. Metallic structures approximately 2 meters in height, showing geometric patterns inconsistent with natural formations. Electronic emissions detected in frequency ranges not used by human communications equipment. Active scanning of facility defensive positions confirmed. Tactical response to reconnaissance threat. Enhanced defensive positioning implemented. Motion sensor network expanded. Additional observation posts established.
Personnel briefé dont contact procédure.
Rules of engagement established for defensive scenarios. Time: 1023 hours. Communication network stability achieved. Mesh topology providing reliable connectivity between all operational positions. Manual procedures proving effective against adaptive interference. Resource consumption stable within sustainable parameters. Field teams reporting coordinated threat movement. Entities relocating positions in organized patterns. Geographic distribution suggests territorial establishment rather than random positioning. They're claiming specific areas and maintaining them systematically. The threat evolution continues. Initial random interference became targeted infrastructure destruction. Targeted destruction became systematic network warfare. Network warfare is becoming territorial control. They're not just disrupting our communications. They're establishing their own operational areas. Time: 1107 hours. Emergency shelter procedures implemented. Personnel quarters relocated to interior facility areas. External windows covered to reduce light signature. All operations moved to hardened communications center. Facility prepared for extended siege conditions. Resource security enhanced. Emergency supplies moved to protected storage areas. Backup equipment secured in multiple locations to prevent single-point losses. Ammunition distributed to defensive positions. Medical station established in secure location. Tactical assessment update. We have successfully transitioned from normal network operations to survival communications mode. Current operational capacity sustainable for extended period. Network connectivity maintained with both local field teams and external survivor facilities. Time: 1,145 hours. Personnel effectiveness assessment. All team members adapting successfully to emergency operational procedures. Keaton managing defensive coordination efficiently. Zara maintaining resource management without supply chain support. Mira keeping critical equipment operational under adverse conditions. Ivy providing essential tactical intelligence. The facility has achieved operational stability under siege conditions. Communications network functional using mesh topology and manual procedures. Resource consumption within sustainable limits. Defensive positions established and maintained. Coordination with external facilities operational. Mission status. Transition from network maintenance to tactical survival operations successful. Critical communication services maintained for regional survivor coordination. Facility defensible and sustainable for extended operations. Time: 1,220 hours. Network operations adapted to threat environment. Manual procedures proving superior to automated systems against adaptive interference. Low-power equipment showing resilience against signal warfare tactics. Human unpredictability providing tactical advantage over systematic countermeasures. The interference patterns continue evolving but at reduced effectiveness against our new operational procedures. They adapted quickly to our automated systems but show slower response to manual, irregular procedures. Our tactical adaptation is maintaining operational superiority. Emergency operations sustainable. Resource management effective. Defensive positions maintained. Communication network functional. Personnel operational effectiveness confirmed. End log. Current operational status. Communications. Mesh network operational 12 kilometers range. Manual procedures. Power. 96 hours fuel reserves at current consumption. Stable generation. Personnel. All positions filled. 12-hour shifts. Effective coordination. Defense. Perimeter secured. Reconnaissance assets deployed. Rules of engagement established. Resources. 21 days supplies at tactical rations. Water adequate. Medical reserves maintained. Network performance. Coverage. Reduced range. Improved reliability and interference resistance. Connectivity. Local field teams operational. External facilities coordinated. Security. Manual procedures preventing predictive countermeasures. Redundancy. 40% node failure tolerance, multiple routing options. Threat status.
Reconnaissance. Décembre 2015 Antici maintaining surveillance position.
Adaptation. Reduced effectiveness against manual procedures. Territory. Establishing geographic control zones around infrastructure. Capability. Electronic warfare systems. Coordinated movement. Intelligence gathering. Network operations report. Day 12. Filed by Dorian Pike, Senior Network Engineer. Metropolitan Communications Hub. Emergency Operations Center. Classification. Critical Infrastructure Protection. 0347 hours. Field Team Alpha communication lost. Team Alpha's scheduled check-in missed by 17 minutes. Last confirmed position. Relay Station 47, Northwest Sector. Keaton Vale attempted contact through backup frequencies. No response across all emergency bands. Signal analysis shows complete dead zone extending 2.3 kilometers radius from their last known coordinates. Zara Ellen reports fuel consumption rates exceed projections by 40% due to increased amplification requirements. Generator runtime reduced to 72 hours at current consumption levels. Emergency diesel reserves allocated for critical operations only. Mira Talon completed diagnostic sweep of remaining repeater stations. Equipment stress indicators showing red across 67% of active nodes. Automatic gain control systems operating at maximum threshold to maintain signal strength. Hardware failure probability increased to 23% within next 48 hours under current operational stress. 0412 hours. Tactical assessment update. Keaton Vale's defensive positioning analysis complete. Communications hub vulnerable from 3 approach vectors due to terrain elevation. Emergency barricades constructed using available materials. Server racks, cable spools, emergency equipment crates. Perimeter monitoring established using remaining surveillance equipment. Field reconnaissance shows coordinated movement patterns in sectors corresponding to lost field teams. Ivy Maddox's preliminary report indicates organized tactical displacement of teams rather than random equipment failure. Pattern suggests intelligence gathering phase completed, transitioning to systematic elimination of response capabilities. Resource allocation shifted to defensive priorities. Non-essential equipment powered down to extend generator runtime. Critical systems maintained. Emergency communication array, perimeter monitoring, internal coordination network. 0445 hours. Emergency repeater network failure. Repeater station 12 offline. Signal termination occurred during active transmission. Final data packet indicates power systems operational before communication ceased. Equipment logs show no mechanical failure indicators. Signal simply terminated mid-transmission without standard shutdown protocols. Repeater station 8 following identical pattern. Last transmission, position secure, equipment functional, maintaining. Signal termination without completion of status report. No emergency beacon activation. No distress signal transmission. Zara Ellen implementing emergency power conservation protocol. Lighting reduced to 25% operational levels. Heating systems offline except for equipment cooling requirements. Personnel areas shifted to emergency lighting only. Battery backup systems reserved for critical communication equipment. 0523 hours. Supply convoy status unknown. Scheduled resupply convoy 12 hours overdue. Last radio contact at 0800 hours yesterday from Highway 287 checkpoint. Convoy manifest includes diesel fuel, 2,000 gallons, emergency rations, 30-day supply, replacement communication equipment, medical supplies, ammunition for security personnel, alternative supply routes compromised. Highway Department reports bridge failures on 3 primary access roads. Damage patterns consistent with deliberate structural targeting rather than natural failure. Load-bearing supports removed with precision cutting, not explosive damage. Keaton Vale estimates current defensive capability sustainable for 96 hours with existing ammunition reserves. Extended engagement scenarios require resource conservation and tactical positioning optimization. Emergency protocols activated for potential siege conditions. 0601 hours. Field Team Bravo signal degradation. Team Bravo reports increasing interference during routine patrol. Signal strength dropping 15% per hour despite equipment functioning normally. Communication requires multiple transmission attempts to maintain clarity. Background noise increasing across all frequency bands. Technical analysis indicates targeted signal suppression rather than equipment malfunction. Interference patterns show sophisticated frequency tracking and adaptive jamming. Counter-jamming protocols initiated but effectiveness declining rapidly. Mira Talone reports equipment temperature readings 40% above normal operational parameters. Cooling systems operating at maximum capacity. Equipment failure probability increased to 31% within 24 hours if thermal stress continues at current levels. 0634 hours. Critical infrastructure assessment. Primary communication array showing stress fractures in support structures. Vibration analysis indicates resonance frequency targeting designed to cause structural failure. Reinforcement materials deployed from emergency supplies. Estimated stability, 48 hours under continued stress conditions. Backup generator fuel consumption exceeded projections. Current reserves, 58 hours at reduced operational capacity. Emergency fuel rationing implemented. Heating systems offline, non-critical lighting discontinued, equipment operated in rotation to reduce simultaneous power draw. Water supply systems functional, but intake monitoring shows filtration system stress. Sediment levels increased 200% above normal parameters. Water quality testing required every 4 hours to ensure potability. Emergency water reserves. 72-hour supply for current personnel levels. 0715 hours. Field Team Bravo communication terminated. Final transmission from Team Bravo. Contact established with unknown entities. Attempting communication protocol. They appear to be. Signal terminated without completion.
No distres vea con activation.
No emergency frequency transmission attempts. Ivy Maddox's reconnaissance confirms coordinated movement patterns converging on communications hub location. Multiple approach vectors identified through thermal imaging before surveillance equipment systematically destroyed. Estimated approach time. 6 to 8 hours based on observed movement patterns.
Keaton Valley implementing final defensive preparations.
Personnel assignments. Dorian Pike Emergency Communication Coordination. Zara Ellen Resource Management and Power Systems. Mira Talone Critical Equipment Maintenance. Ivy Maddox Perimeter Monitoring and Early Warning. Keaton Vale Tactical Coordination and Defensive Response. 0752 hours. Emergency Protocol Implementation. All field teams confirmed lost. Emergency beacon network offline. External communication limited to line-of-sight transmission only. Range 3.2 kilometers maximum with current equipment configuration and power allocation. Tactical situation assessment. Communications hub isolated from external support. Supply lines severed. Personnel resources. 5 operational staff members. Equipment resources. Emergency communication array. 72 hours operational capacity. Backup power systems. 58 hours fuel remaining. Emergency supplies. 96 hours food/water for current personnel. Threat assessment. Coordinated entities demonstrating advanced tactical capabilities, sophisticated signal processing technology, and systematic infrastructure targeting methodology. Direct assault probability. 87% within 12-hour window based on observed patterns. 0834 hours. Equipment prioritization protocol. Non-essential systems powered down to extend operational capacity. Priority equipment maintained. Emergency transceiver array. Internal communication network. Perimeter monitoring sensors. Critical lighting systems. Water filtration. Emergency medical equipment. Mira Talone completed emergency equipment modification. Communication array configured for burst transmission mode to maximize signal penetration through interference. Power consumption increased 34%, but signal strength improved 67% during testing phase. Resource inventory final count. Fuel 58 hours, food 96 hours, water 72 hours, ammunition 240 rounds mixed caliber. Medical supplies, basic first aid only, communication equipment functional but stressed, power systems, operational with limitations. 0901 hours, defensive position established. Keaton Vale reports defensive preparations complete. Entrance points secured, emergency exits identified and prepared, equipment positioned for maximum operational efficiency during potential siege conditions. Personnel assignments confirmed and emergency procedures reviewed. Final status report transmission attempted on all available frequencies. Signal strength insufficient for long-range communication. Local area network maintained for internal coordination. Emergency beacon configured for automated distress signal transmission if personnel become unable to operate equipment manually. Zara Ellen implementing final resource conservation measures. Emergency rations distributed for immediate consumption. Water rationing increased to maximum conservation levels. Power systems configured for extended operation under minimal load conditions. 0945 hours. threat detection confirmed. IV Maddox reports perimeter breach indicators on multiple sensors. Movement patterns consistent with coordinated approach from 3 vectors simultaneously. Estimated personnel count. Unknown due to interference with thermal imaging equipment. Approach methodology indicates advanced tactical coordination. Communication equipment shows increasing interference levels. Signal processing capabilities of approaching entities demonstrate real-time adaptation to human communication protocols. Counterjamming effectiveness reduced to 23% and declining. Final operational assessment. Communications hub defensible for limited duration with current resources. Critical mission objective. Maintain emergency communication capability for regional coordination network. Secondary objective. Gather tactical intelligence on entity capabilities and methodology. Tertiary objective. Personnel survival within operational parameters. Emergency status. Critical infrastructure protection mode activated. All personnel assigned combat readiness positions. Communication equipment configured for maximum transmission power during tactical engagement. Resource expenditure authorized for operational survival. Network Operations Report, Day 12, filed by Dorian Pike, Senior Network Engineer. Metropolitan Communications Hub, Emergency Operations Center. Classification, Critical Threat Intelligence. 1023 hours, Signal Analysis Breakthrough. Pattern Recognition Algorithms completed analysis of 12 days of interference data. Results indicate non-random signal suppression with mathematical precision targeting specific communication protocols. Interference patterns demonstrate learning capability, adaptation rate accelerating by 23% every 6-hour period. Technical analysis reveals sophisticated signal processing methodology. Entities are not simply jamming communications, they are intercepting, analyzing, and responding to human transmission protocols in real time. Each communication attempt provides data for more effective countermeasures. Mira Talon's equipment examination of recovered metallic debris confirms advanced signal processing hardware. Components demonstrate technology integration unfamiliar to current human engineering standards. Circuit patterns optimized for frequency analysis and adaptive response generation. 1045 hours, methodology assessment. 12-day operational timeline analysis complete. Pattern emerges. Days 1 to 3, passive signal monitoring and data collection phase. Days 4 to 6, active interference testing and protocol mapping. Days 7 to 9, systematic infrastructure targeting based on network topology analysis. Days 10 to 12, coordinated elimination of response capabilities. Entities demonstrate complete understanding of human communication network architecture. Infrastructure targeting follows optimal disruption sequence for maximum operational impact with minimal resource expenditure. Strategic methodology indicates extensive preparation and intelligence gathering prior to active operations. Keaton Vale's tactical assessment confirms coordinated approach patterns consistent with military doctrine. Movement timing synchronized with communication disruption cycles. Assault coordination requires real-time information exchange between entity groups. 1107 hours, Entity Communication Network Discovery. IV Maddox's perimeter monitoring detected organized signal transmission between approaching entities. Frequency analysis reveals communication network operating on spectrum bands unused by human technology. Signal strength and coordination timing indicate sophisticated command and control capabilities. Technical specifications of Entity Communication System operating frequency 847.3 to 849.7 MHz, unused by human systems. Signal modulation, adaptive frequency hopping, 200 hops per second. Coordination range, minimum 15 kilometers confirmed. Data transmission rate, 400% faster than equivalent human technology. Entity network demonstrates hierarchical command structure. Primary transmission sources issue coordinated instructions to multiple receiving units. Response acknowledgement patterns confirm real-time tactical coordination across extended operational area. 1,134 hours. Infrastructure appropriation evidence. Analysis of failed relay stations reveals systematic component removal rather than destruction. Missing equipment. Signal amplifiers, frequency modulators, power regulation systems, antenna arrays. Damage patterns indicate precision extraction techniques, not random destruction. Mira Talon reports discovery of unauthorized network connections at damaged infrastructure sites. Entity-installed equipment interfacing with existing human communication systems. Evidence suggests entities are constructing communication network using appropriated human infrastructure components. Power consumption analysis from regional electrical grid shows abnormal draw patterns at locations corresponding to damaged relay stations. Entities maintaining power to extracted equipment for integration into their communication network. Human infrastructure being converted to support entity operations. 1,201 hours. Strategic objective assessment. Threat intelligence analysis indicates entity operational objectives. Primary objective: systematic isolation of human communication capabilities. Secondary objective: appropriation of human communication infrastructure. Tertiary objective: establishment of entity-controlled communication network. Operational methodology suggests preparation for long-term territorial occupation rather than simple destruction or elimination. Entities require communication infrastructure for coordinated control of appropriated territory. Resource allocation patterns indicate sustainable operational capacity. Entities demonstrate systematic approach to infrastructure control rather than resource-intensive destruction campaigns. Evidence suggests planned territorial management rather than temporary occupation. 1,227 hours. Technical countermeasure development. Network analysis identifies potential vulnerability in entity signal processing methodology. Adaptive learning system requires consistent data input to maintain effectiveness. Signal processing capability overwhelmed by simultaneous multi-frequency transmission bursts. Mira Talon's equipment testing confirms entity jamming systems demonstrate processing limitations. Maximum simultaneous frequency tracking, 47 distinct signals. Human communication equipment capable of generating 83 simultaneous transmission frequencies using emergency power allocation. Technical countermeasure proposal: coordinated frequency burst transmission designed to overload entity signal processing capabilities. Power requirements: 340% of normal operational capacity. Duration: 12-minute maximum with current power reserves. Effectiveness window: estimated 15 to 20 minutes before entity systems adapt to countermeasure. 1,254 hours. Entity Tactical Capabilities Assessment. Perimeter monitoring reveals entity approach methodology. Movement patterns indicate advanced tactical coordination but limited direct assault capabilities. Entities prefer infrastructure control over direct confrontation with defensive positions. Keaton-Vale's defensive analysis identifies entity tactical limitations. Approach timing coordinated with communication disruption cycles. Movement patterns avoid direct confrontation when possible. Resource allocation focused on infrastructure control rather than personnel elimination. Tactical doctrine emphasizes isolation and control over destruction. Entity capabilities demonstrate technological superiority in communication systems but standard tactical approaches for territorial control. Advanced signal processing combined with conventional assault methodology. 1,318 hours. Regional network status assessment. Long-range signal detection attempts reveal communication dead zones extending 200+ kilometers from metropolitan area. Entity operational area encompasses entire regional communication network. Systematic infrastructure appropriation confirmed across multi-state coverage area. Emergency frequency monitoring detects isolated transmission attempts from other surviving facilities. Signal strength insufficient for reliable communication but confirms additional survivor groups maintaining defensive positions. Estimated surviving communication facilities, 3 to 5 locations within 500-kilometer radius. Regional coordination impossible under current communication limitations. Each surviving facility operating independently without strategic coordination capability. Entity strategy successfully achieved operational isolation of human response capabilities. 1,342 hours. Power system critical analysis. Zara Ellen reports generator fuel consumption exceeding projections due to signal amplification requirements. Current reserves, 43 hours at standard operational capacity. Proposed countermeasure power requirements would reduce operational capacity to 6 hours total remaining power. Emergency power allocation analysis. Standard operations sustainable for 43 hours. Countermeasure deployment sustainable for 6 hours. Mixed operational approach. 12-minute countermeasure deployment followed by 41 hours reduced capacity operations. Critical decision point. Countermeasure deployment represents single tactical opportunity with limited operational window. Success probability based on technical analysis. 67% effectiveness in disrupting entity coordination. Failure consequences. Operational capacity reduced to 6 hours total power reserves. 1,405 hours. Strategic decision matrix. Tactical options assessment. Option 1. Maintain defensive position with standard power allocation. Advantages: 43-hour operational sustainability. Equipment preservation. Disadvantages: no tactical initiative, gradual resource depletion, inevitable operational failure. Option 2. Deploy countermeasure for tactical advantage. Advantages: 67% probability of disrupting entity coordination, potential communication window with other facilities. Disadvantages: reduced operational capacity to 6 hours total, high resource expenditure. Option 3. Combine countermeasure with tactical breakout attempt. Advantages: maximum utilization of temporary tactical advantage. Disadvantages: abandonment of critical communication infrastructure, uncertain survival probability. Keaton Vale recommends option 2 with tactical modifications. Deploy countermeasure to create communication window for coordination with other surviving facilities. Use temporary entity disruption to establish regional communication network for sustained resistance operations. 1,431 hours. Operational preparation. Personnel assignments for countermeasure deployment. Dorian Pike, primary signal coordination and frequency management. Mira Talon, equipment operation and power system monitoring. Zara Ellen, power allocation and resource management during high consumption operation. Keaton Vale, tactical coordination and defensive monitoring during vulnerable operational period. Ivy Maddox, perimeter security and entity response monitoring. Equipment preparation complete. Emergency transmission array configured for maximum power output across 83 simultaneous frequencies. Power systems prepared for 340% operational capacity surge. Cooling systems optimized for extreme operational stress. Emergency shutdown procedures established for equipment protection. 1,458 hours. Final intelligence assessment. Entity approach confirmed on 3 vectors. Estimated arrival, 90 minutes. Coordinated assault timing designed to coincide with anticipated human equipment failure based on observed power consumption patterns. Technical analysis confirms entity signal processing capabilities vulnerable to frequency burst countermeasure. Window of tactical advantage estimated at 15 to 20 minutes before adaptation occurs. Communication opportunity sufficient for regional facility coordination and strategic planning. Mission critical decision. Deploy countermeasure at optimal timing for maximum tactical advantage. Coordinate with estimated entity assault timeline to maximize disruption effectiveness. Operational commitment. Total resource expenditure for single tactical opportunity. Countermeasure deployment authorized. Tactical engagement imminent. Network Engineering Report, Emergency Protocol 7 Alpha. Filed by Dorian Pike, Senior Network Engineer. Location: Metropolitan Communications Hub, Facility 7. Date: redacted, hour 1:27 post-initial interference. Classification: tactical immediate. 23:47. Perimeter breach confirmed. Ivy's last transmission came through on the emergency handheld frequency. Multiple contacts approaching from sectors 2, 4, and 6. Coordinated movement patterns. Estimate 30-plus entities. They're jamming as they advance, losing signal strength every 100 meters they gain. The interference signature spiked immediately after her report. Whatever these things are, they've learned to suppress our communications in real time during tactical operations. The signal processing devices Mira analyzed weren't just jamming equipment, they were learning our protocols, adapting their suppression patterns to match our frequency hopping sequences. Keaton's defensive positions are solid, but we're not equipped for prolonged engagement. Our tactical advantage has always been communication coordination. With them jamming us during approach, we're reduced to line-of-sight coordination and hand signals. Emergency power reserves at 34%. If we're going to execute the signal burst operation, it has to be within the next 2 hours before backup generators run dry. 0:15. Signal burst preparation initiated. Mira has the transmission array configured for maximum output across all available frequency bands simultaneously. The theory is sound. If these entities are using sophisticated signal processing to jam our communications, then a coordinated burst across the entire electromagnetic spectrum should overload their processing capacity, like feeding a computer more data than it can handle. Array configured for 847 kilowatt output across 2.4 GHz to 900 MHz spectrum, Mira reported. Power draw will drain our reserves in approximately 4 minutes. After that, we're running on emergency batteries only. Zara confirmed power allocation protocols, redirecting all non-essential systems to the transmission array. Life support systems transferred to battery backup. Emergency lighting only. We get one shot at this. The tactical calculation is straightforward. Either the signal burst disrupts their coordination long enough for us to reestablish communication with regional facilities, or we lose our primary defensive advantage permanently. 0:23. Direct contact established. First visual confirmation of the entities through the facility's remaining security cameras. Bipedal, approximately human height, but moving with mechanical precision. They're carrying the signal processing devices we've been finding at destroyed relay stations, portable jamming units that adapt their output in real time. Most concerning, they're coordinating their approach without any visible communication method. No radio signals, no visual signaling, no audible coordination. Whatever communication system they're using operates outside our detection capabilities. Keaton identified 3 primary approach vectors. They're not just attacking, they're establishing jamming positions to create a dead zone around the facility. Professional tactical deployment. They understand our communication requirements better than most human tactical units. The entities have positioned themselves to create overlapping fields of interference. Once they complete their deployment, we'll be completely isolated from external coordination. No emergency broadcasts, no coordination with other facilities, no calls for assistance. 0:31. Defensive positions engaged. Keaton's tactical assessment. 12 entities establishing perimeter jamming positions, 6 more advancing on the main facility entrance. The interference field is expanding as they move closer. Our emergency radios now have a range of less than 50 meters. They're not trying to destroy the facility, Keaton observed. They want the communication equipment intact. They're planning to take operational control of our infrastructure. That changes the tactical equation significantly. If they want the equipment functional, they'll avoid using weapons that could damage the transmission arrays. Our defensive advantage is that we can threaten to destroy what they want to capture. Mira has prepared emergency demolition charges for the main transmission equipment. If the signal burst fails and they breach the facility, we can deny them access to our infrastructure. Dead man's switch on the primary array. Resource status. Ammunition limited to what security personnel had on site. No resupply possible with communication lines severed. Defensive positions adequate for short-term engagement, but not sustainable against prolonged assault. 044 Signal Burst Execution Phase 1. Initiating Maximum Spectrum Broadcast. Power output 847 kilowatts across all available frequencies. Duration for minutes maximum before complete power depletion. The effect was immediate. The coordinated interference patterns destabilized within 30 seconds of burst initiation. For the first time in 6 days, clear communication signals appeared on multiple frequencies simultaneously. Contact established with Regional Facility 12, I reported. They confirmed similar attacks in progress across 7 metropolitan areas. Coordinated systematic assault on communication infrastructure. Facility 12 status. Operational but under siege. Similar entity deployment patterns. Critical intelligence. They've identified a weakness in the entity's jamming equipment. Prolonged exposure to high-intensity broadband signals causes temporary system failure. Signal burst is working, Zara confirmed. Interference patterns showing systematic degradation. Their jamming units are overheating under sustained high-power exposure. 047 Entity Tactical Adaptation. The entities responded faster than anticipated. Instead of retreating from the signal burst, they began coordinated assault on the facility's external power connections. Direct attack on our power infrastructure to force signal burst termination. Keaton's update. They've identified our power vulnerability. 6 entities attacking the main power feeds. If they cut external power, we're running on batteries only, no capacity for continued signal burst operations. Tactical decision required. Maintain signal burst until power depletion and lose defensive capability, or terminate burst early to preserve power for defensive systems. The entities aren't retreating from the signal interference. They're adapting their tactics to counter our defensive advantage. This suggests learning capability beyond simple signal processing adaptation. 052 Power Infrastructure Defense. Redirecting available personnel to protect external power connections. The entities attacking the power feeds are using cutting tools specifically designed for electrical infrastructure, not improvised weapons, but purpose-built equipment for dismantling power systems. Myra's assessment. They came prepared for infrastructure assault. These aren't scavengers or opportunistic attackers. This is systematic infrastructure capture operation. The signal burst continues to disrupt their communication jamming, but they're maintaining coordinated tactical operations through alternative methods. Visual coordination, predetermined tactical plans, or communication systems operating outside the electromagnetic spectrum we're targeting. Emergency batteries at 67% capacity. If external power is severed, we have approximately 6 hours of emergency operations before complete power failure. 103 Breakthrough communication window. Signal burst effect reached critical threshold. The entity's jamming equipment has entered thermal shutdown across the entire perimeter. Clear communication restored with 4 regional facilities simultaneously. Critical intelligence received. The entities are establishing their own communication network using captured human infrastructure. They're not destroying our systems. They're integrating them into a larger coordination network. Regional Facility 8 reports, we've identified their communication method. They're using fiber optic networks with modified signal protocols. They're literally rewiring our infrastructure to serve their coordination requirements. This explains their tactical precision. They're not operating independently. They're part of a coordinated network using our own communication infrastructure against us. 107 Coordinated regional response. With communication restored, coordination established with 7 surviving facilities. Synchronized signal burst operations planned across all facilities to create regional communication windows. Execute coordinated burst in 30 seconds. Regional command transmitted. All facilities maximum power output for 2-minute duration. Goal: create region-wide interference field to disrupt their network integration. Power reserves at 12%. This coordinated operation will drain our remaining reserves completely, but if successful, it should disrupt their network coordination long enough to establish sustainable communication protocols. Keaton confirmed defensive readiness. If this works, we'll have a tactical advantage window. If it fails, we're operating on emergency power with no communication capability. 109. Regional Coordinated Signal Burst. 7 facilities executing simultaneous maximum power transmission. Combined output: approximately 6,000 kilowatts across metropolitan region. The electromagnetic interference field extends beyond individual facility ranges, creating region-wide disruption of entity communication networks. The effect exceeded tactical projections. The entity's coordinated operations collapsed immediately. Visual confirmation: entities abandoning tactical positions and retreating to predetermined fallback locations. Regional network disruption confirmed. Regional command reported. Entity coordination systems offline. Tactical window established for infrastructure reinforcement and resource consolidation. Emergency power reserves depleted. Facility now operating on battery backup only. Estimated operational time: 4 hours for essential systems. 1:15. Tactical advantage window. The coordinated signal burst created a 47-minute window of clear communication before entity jamming systems began re-establishing operational capability. During this window, critical coordination achieved with 6 surviving regional facilities. Strategic intelligence: the entities are establishing permanent infrastructure integration across the metropolitan region. Their retreat isn't defeat, it's tactical repositioning to protect captured infrastructure while adapting countermeasures for future signal burst operations. Zara's resource assessment: we've bought time, not victory. Battery reserves sufficient for 12 hours of minimal operations. No resupply possible until secure transport corridors established. The entities withdrew to positions beyond visual range but maintained perimeter surveillance. They're not abandoning the assault, they're adapting their approach to counter our signal burst defense. 123. New operational protocols. With communication window closing as entity jamming systems restart, final coordination established for ongoing operations. Regional Command has designated our facility as Communication Relay Hub for sector coordination. Critical strategic decision: maintain facility operations under siege conditions rather than attempt evacuation. Our technical expertise and infrastructure are more valuable as fixed defensive position than mobile operations. Keaton's tactical assessment: the entities want our infrastructure operational, which gives us negotiating position. They won't destroy what they need to capture. We can use that tactical advantage. Power conservation protocols initiated. Non-essential systems offline. Minimal lighting, emergency heating only, communication equipment prioritized for power allocation. 131. Operational status established. The signal burst operation succeeded in disrupting entity coordination and establishing temporary regional communication. Tactical position: defendable but precarious. The entities have withdrawn but maintain surveillance and will likely adapt countermeasures for future operations. Resource status: critical but manageable for short-term operations. Battery reserves sufficient for 12 hours of essential systems. Food supplies adequate for 4 days with rationing protocols. Personnel status: 5 operational staff with complementary tactical skills. No casualties during engagement. All equipment functional despite power limitations. Strategic position: we've demonstrated capability to disrupt their communication networks, but they've demonstrated capability to adapt and coordinate despite our countermeasures. The tactical situation has stabilized but not resolved. The entity's systematic approach to infrastructure integration suggests long-term strategic objectives beyond simple destruction. They're building something using our communication systems, and they need our facilities operational to complete their project. End report. Operational status: defensive advantage established. Addendum: Technical analysis. The signal burst operation confirmed our tactical assessment. The entities use sophisticated signal processing for communication jamming, but their systems are vulnerable to broadband interference overload. However, their rapid tactical adaptation suggests learning capability that will likely develop countermeasures for future signal burst operations. Recommended operational procedures. Maintain facility defense with emphasis on power infrastructure protection. Coordinate with regional facilities for synchronized defensive operations. Prepare alternative tactical responses for when entity systems adapt to current countermeasures. The next engagement will require different tactical approaches. They're learning our capabilities as fast as we're learning theirs. Network Engineering Report. Operational Status Update. Filed by Dorian Pike, Senior Network Engineer. Location: Metropolitan Communications Hub, Facility 7. Date: redacted, hour 1:51, post-initial interference. Classification: operational routine. 6 o'clock, dawn. Operational status: 24 hours post-signal burst operation. The tactical landscape has stabilized into a pattern of controlled hostility. The entities maintain surveillance positions at 800-meter perimeter but have not attempted direct assault since the coordinated regional interference operation. Battery reserves at 31% after overnight power conservation protocols. Zara's resource management has extended operational capacity to 18 hours remaining on current power reserves. Solar supplementation from emergency panels provides 12% daily power recovery during optimal conditions. Communication window established with regional command at 5:47. Duration: 43 minutes before entity jamming systems resumed interference patterns. Critical intelligence exchanged during window confirms operational status across metropolitan region. Regional facility status: Facility 12 operational, Facility 3 operational with limited power, Facility 8 destroyed, Facility 15 operational, Facility 22 abandoned, Facility 29 operational with personnel losses, Facility 31 operational. 6:18. Established operational protocols. The entities have adapted to predictable patterns. Surveillance positions maintained continuously, but direct assault attempts occur only when facilities attempt external communication beyond established windows. They're enforcing communication protocols, not preventing all communication, but controlling when and how we coordinate. Keaton's tactical assessment: they're not trying to eliminate us, they're managing us. We can operate within their parameters, but any attempt to expand beyond current capabilities triggers tactical response. This suggests strategic objectives beyond simple infrastructure capture. They want our facilities operational and our personnel functional, but within controlled parameters that serve their larger coordination network. Mira has established maintenance protocols for critical equipment under current power constraints. Transmission array functional at 67% capacity. Emergency backup systems operational. Facility can maintain basic operations indefinitely with current resource allocation. 6:31. Resource sustainability analysis. Zara's comprehensive resource audit confirms sustainable operations under current constraints. Food supplies adequate for 27 days with established rationing protocols. Water supply from facility reserves sufficient for indefinite operations with recycling systems functional. Critical limitation: power generation. Solar supplementation provides minimal daily recovery. Battery reserves will deplete within 18 hours without external power restoration or alternative generation methods. Tactical decision required: attempt to restore external power connections, high risk of entity tactical response, or establish alternative power generation using available resources. We have components for emergency wind generation, Mira reported. Sufficient materials to construct low-output turbine from ventilation equipment. Estimated output: 200 watts continuous under optimal conditions. 6:45. Entity behavioral patterns. IV's surveillance reports from yesterday's reconnaissance confirm entity operational patterns. They maintain 3-shift surveillance rotation with personnel changes every 8 hours. Communication jamming equipment repositioned daily to prevent predictable interference patterns. Most significant, they're constructing permanent installations at former relay station locations. Not temporary tactical positions, permanent infrastructure designed for long-term operations. They're building something, Ivy observed. Systematic construction using salvaged communication equipment combined with their own technology. Looks like network integration hubs. The entities aren't occupying our infrastructure. They're integrating it into their own network. Our facilities aren't being captured. They're being incorporated into a larger communication system. 702. Regional Coordination Window. Scheduled communication window opened with Regional Command. Duration, 38 minutes. Coordinated intelligence sharing across operational facilities confirms systematic infrastructure integration across metropolitan area. Strategic intelligence update. The entities have established permanent communication network using integrated human infrastructure. They're not disrupting our systems. They're upgrading them for their own coordination requirements. Network topology analysis shows sophisticated integration, Regional Command reported. They're creating redundant communication pathways using our fiber optic networks combined with their own signal processing technology. Critical tactical assessment. The entities don't view us as threats to be eliminated, but as infrastructure operators to be managed. They need our facilities functional and our personnel operational to maintain the integrated network. 715. Tactical Cooperation Protocols. Regional Command has established formal protocols for entity interaction. Not negotiation, practical accommodation. We maintain operational control of our facilities within parameters that don't interfere with their network integration. Facilities report stable operations when personnel limit external communication to scheduled windows and avoid interference with entity construction activities. Regional Command transmitted. Facilities that attempt to expand beyond current parameters face tactical response. This creates operational framework for sustainable survival. We can maintain facility operations, coordinate with other facilities during scheduled windows, and preserve our technical capabilities, but we cannot expand beyond current territorial boundaries. Keaton confirmed tactical protocols. Defensive positions maintained, but no expansion attempts. Surveillance continues, but no interference with entity activities beyond facility perimeter. 728. Infrastructure maintenance protocols. With operational framework established, focus shifts to long-term facility maintenance under current constraints. Mira has developed maintenance schedules for critical equipment using available resources and power limitations. Primary transmission array requires weekly maintenance cycles, Mira reported. Emergency backup systems functional but require component replacement within 60 days. Facility infrastructure stable for indefinite operations with current resource allocation. Critical equipment priority. Communication systems first, power generation second, life support third. The entities want our communication capabilities operational, which provides negotiating leverage for resource access. Zara's resource management protocols ensure sustainable operations within current constraints. Rationing protocols maintain food supplies for 27 days. Water recycling systems functional indefinitely. Power generation is the critical limitation. 741. Alternative power generation. Myra's emergency wind generation project initiated using available materials. Salvaged ventilation equipment, electrical components from non-critical systems, and structural materials from facility modifications. Estimated construction time, 36 hours with available personnel. Output capacity, 200 watts continuous, 350 watts optimal conditions. Sufficient to supplement battery reserves and extend operational capacity. The entities observe but do not interfere with facility modifications that don't impact communication equipment. They're allowing us to maintain sustainable operations as long as we don't attempt to expand beyond current capabilities. Construction project provides tactical advantage, demonstrates our ability to maintain facility operations independently, reducing dependency on external power restoration. 754. Operational routine establishment. Standard operational procedures established for ongoing facility management. Daily resource allocation meetings, weekly equipment maintenance cycles, scheduled communication windows with regional facilities. Personnel assignments. Dorian network maintenance and regional coordination. Zara, resource management and facility operations. Mira, equipment maintenance and construction projects. Keaton, tactical security and perimeter monitoring. Ivy, surveillance and intelligence gathering. "We're not prisoners," Keaton observed. "We're infrastructure operators under management. They need our expertise to maintain the integrated network. This operational framework provides stability and clear parameters for sustainable survival. We maintain professional competence and facility operations while adapting to modified territorial constraints." 807. Regional network status. Communication window with regional command confirms establishment of operational routine across surviving facilities. 7 facilities operational with established protocols, 3 facilities abandoned, 2 facilities maintaining minimal operations. Strategic assessment. The entities have achieved their infrastructure integration objectives. Metropolitan Communication Network now operates under their coordination, but requires human personnel for maintenance and operation. Network integration complete, Regional Command reported. Facilities operate within established parameters. Personnel maintain technical expertise and facility operations. Tactical situation stable. The entity's strategic objectives have been achieved through infrastructure integration rather than territorial conquest. They control communication networks but rely on human expertise for operations and maintenance. 820. Sustainable Operations Framework. Long-term operational planning established for indefinite facility operations under current constraints. Resource management protocols ensure sustainable survival. Equipment maintenance schedules preserve critical capabilities. Tactical procedures maintain security within territorial parameters. Emergency procedures established for potential entity tactical response. Communication protocols for coordination during crisis. Power conservation measures for extended operations. Equipment protection priorities for facility defense. "We've adapted to the new operational environment," Zara confirmed. Sustainable resource management, reliable communication coordination, maintained technical capabilities. The facility operates as communication hub for regional coordination while maintaining independence within established parameters. Not freedom, but functional autonomy with clear tactical boundaries. 833. Ongoing vigilance protocols. Surveillance schedules established for continuous monitoring of entity activities and tactical positions. Intelligence gathering procedures for assessing changes in entity operational patterns or strategic objectives. Surveillance indicates stable entity operations, Ivy reported. Construction projects continuing at former relay stations. No indication of tactical preparation for facility assault. Operational pattern suggests long-term territorial control rather than continued expansion. Tactical assessment. The entities have achieved their strategic objectives and are focusing on consolidation rather than expansion. This provides operational stability but requires continued vigilance for tactical changes. Emergency response procedures established for potential tactical escalation. Communication protocols for regional coordination. Resource allocation for extended operations. Equipment protection priorities for facility defense. 846. Facility operational status. Facility 7 operational and sustainable under current constraints. Communication capabilities maintained at 67% capacity. Power generation supplemented by emergency wind turbine. Resource supplies adequate for indefinite operations with established rationing protocols. Personnel operational with complementary expertise for facility maintenance and regional coordination. No casualties, all equipment functional. Tactical security maintained within territorial parameters. Regional coordination established through scheduled communication windows. Intelligence sharing with surviving facilities. Resource coordination for mutual support. tactical cooperation for emergency response. Operational summary. Sustainable survival established. The tactical situation has stabilized into manageable operational routine. The entities control metropolitan communication infrastructure but require human expertise for maintenance and operations. We maintain facility operations and regional coordination within established parameters. This is not victory, but operational survival with clear tactical boundaries. We preserve our technical capabilities, maintain facility operations, and coordinate with regional facilities while adapting to modified territorial constraints. The entity's strategic objectives have been achieved through infrastructure integration rather than territorial conquest. They control the network but need us to operate it. This creates sustainable operational framework for indefinite survival. Tactical status. Operational under management. Facility 7 remains operational and sustainable. Personnel maintain technical expertise and facility operations while adapting to new operational environment. Regional coordination continues through scheduled communication windows. The threat has evolved from tactical assault to territorial management. We operate within established parameters while maintaining professional competence and facility capabilities. Ongoing vigilance required for potential tactical changes, but current operational framework provides sustainable survival and meaningful contribution to regional coordination efforts. Final operational note. We are no longer fighting for survival, we are managing survival under new operational parameters. The entities have achieved their strategic objectives, and we have adapted our operations to function within their territorial control. This is our new operational reality. Sustainable facility operations, regional coordination within scheduled windows, and ongoing vigilance for tactical changes while maintaining technical expertise under modified territorial constraints. Status. Operational equilibrium established.